Roll that intro.
I am Anonymous Biker USA.
I met that guy in the opening clip last year. He was nice enough to come my way, and we hung out for the day and had a good time. So I told him, I gotta get out and check out the garage and see the Tramp Exposed. And that guy that I'm talking about, guys, as you well know, is Saddle Tramp. So I got on my bike and took the 90-mile ride, and here's what happened. So here we are, and I think everybody knows that this bike looks familiar. Who could it be? Is it? It is.
What's happening, amigos?
Look who it is, and welcome to the garage of the Saddle Tramp.
That's right, guys. This is Saddle Tramp right here, and I'm your host for the evening. I'm taking over Anonymous Biker's TV show. But I'm not really taking it over. I'm sure Anonymous has some questions or something. I don't know. We're just shooting from the hip here.
All right. So everybody knows who's seen this bike, the Tramp, T-R-A-M-P. Why don't you just tell us a little about the setup there, Mr. Tramp?
Well, I can spend hours talking about the setup, but I'll tell you what, this motorcycle started off as a 1990 883 Sportster Deluxe, okay? And I bought it cheap from a local bike shop, and fast forward a bit, it had issues shifting. I hit it in first gear, but the gear lever did not want to come back up. So fast forward some more, I'll go into the transmission and find my problem, but I found a bigger problem. And I'll show you what that problem was. I'll be right back. Left half case of the original engine. This is where your transmission goes in. See that weld that's all the way across that? Somebody broke this transmission case at one time doing something dumb, or maybe they broke a chain, but there is, that crack goes all the way across this ID right here, which caused this hole not to be completely round. So there's a bearing that goes in there, a set of roller bearings, and this thing was constantly leaking transmission fluid, and that's why. So had to get a new engine cases and build a new engine. Well, not really build a new engine, but just rebuild the engine. And that's the motor that I built right back here. I don't know if you can see this. This is the motor that I built for it the first time around. It's 1986 cases with 2002 jugs and pistons with 1990 cams and the bottom end, and changed the gear ratio. But anyway, I ran that motor for a little while on that bike. And now that motor is an 86 to 1990 era style bottom end, which means it was only a 4-speed transmission. So it was okay for between 55 and 60. You know, the bike was built during a time when 70 miles an hour was not the speed limit on the interstates. So I ended up obtaining another Sportster, and for the motor that was in it, it was an 02 Sportster, and the motor that came out of it is that motor right there. It's another 883 5-speed transmission, and it has a 23 tooth engine sprocket on the front, transmission sprocket that is, with a 47 tooth on the back. So it's got plenty of long legs. It has absolutely no problem keeping up with traffic on the interstate. So it went from being Saddle Tramp to somewhat of a Super Tramp. Now I'll tell you, so that's the story of the motor, but I'll tell you about the front end. The front end is 39 millimeter fork tubes that are literally 8 inches over stock. But when I put the fork legs on here, according to Paco, you know, the people who make the frames, they said it makes it to be a 10 over front end. I don't understand that logic, but the measurement from the bottom of the steering stem to the center of the axle is 30 inches. So according to Paco, that's 10 over. It's got a little bit of a it's got quite a bit of a rake because it's the front half of the frame is a 1990, and this bike has been chopped twice. It got raked down here. We chopped right here at the radius, and we added some tubing right here, about 4 inches, which brought this frame up like that, or brought this part of the frame up like that, and gave it the whole thing a 40-degree rake. And then we added some tubing, we welded it up. We also had to make a pie cut here to make it happen too, but we welded all that up. Now that's kind of backwards as far as the sequence of events on this motorcycle. We made it, before all that, we made it a hardtail. We just chopped the frame in half and hooked up a TC Bros front end. I mean the rear end, I'm sorry, and welded it all up. But this bike has gone through a whole lot of changes. Really, the only thing that's original left on this motorcycle is the front part of this frame, basically the neck, the serial number, this carburetor. The motor is different, the oil tank's different, the back half of the frame is different. Well, that's the wheel that came with it before it got chopped. This is the fender that came with it before it got chopped, but I chopped the fender to make it look like that. It's got a TC Bros style sissy bar that we had to assemble ourselves. This is a Craigslist gas tank. Not that it's a name brand, but you know, I got it off of Craigslist. I had to do my own work to the inside of the tank because it was really rusted real bad. And of course, I had to assemble the speedometer one piece at a time. And front and rear brakes are original. Not the best brakes in the world, but hey, you know. And I'm sure there's a lot more I could say, but that's pretty much the high points of this motorcycle. It's kind of like that Johnny Cash tune. It's 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59 motorcycle. Anyway. But yeah, 02 drivetrain with a 1990 chassis with an aftermarket rear end and all points in between. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.